Okay, so I just wrote this very simple code and now I want to run it. Let's see what happens when I give it a string input. Let's see. Oops. It can be frustrating sometimes when your code is misbehaving like this. When your code keeps crashing because of input errors, it can really be frustrating. So what do you do in such a case? Now there's something called error handling. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can be able to manage your code, make it dynamic so that it can be able to manage things like this. Now this function was expecting an input, okay, an integer input, but you see from this I gave it a string input and it was not able to do anything with it. It says value error. It was not able to do anything with it. It was not able to convert this value into an integer. So I'm going to show you how you can be able to manage your errors. Okay, so this video is under error handling, how you can be able to handle every one of your errors in order to make it dynamic and in order to reduce the number of crashes. Okay, so if your code keeps crashing, then maybe you should consider the tips on this video I'll be showing you. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to use the try block, the except block, the finally block. There are other blocks we could actually learn, but we will learn these today for now. And in our later videos, we'll go into details. Okay, and then we will be using them in our projects from now on in order to make our codes more dynamic and more robust. Okay, now onto the try block. Just a simple, just type try and then a column, as if you were writing an if statement. Try and a column. Now in this indent, it is expecting you to put a code there. Okay, so you could say try to print something x called x, but then we don't have x defined, so you know that's definitely going to be an error, right? We don't have x defined. But what you are telling it is this: try to do what is inside this function. So just try when the interpreter is running and means the try, it attempts to run what is below the try. Okay, it attempts to run what is here. Now if it is not able to run what is in the try, then it throws an exception. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here. It throws an exception. Now what do you want it to output? So let's say something went wrong. Okay, let's just say something went wrong. Now what does this block of code mean? This block of code means that try to do this. If you can't do it, then raise this exception. Give me this message. Okay, if you're able to do this, don't mind this one, but if you're not able to do this, then mind this one. So I'm just going to comment this out. We'll come back to it very soon and I'm going to run this. Now even though there's an error here saying undefined name, it tried to run it. Because it could not run it, it went down to the exception. Okay, and then raised this exception. Something went wrong. I hope you get the idea. So it's the same way. Now I'm going to take this code from up here. I'm going to take this code from up here and I'm going to put it inside a try statement. Okay, so in the try statement, I'm going to ask you to try to do this, and then after that it should print age for me. Now you know we are expecting integer values, but if there's anything wrong, then it should give me this message. Okay, so I'm going to try and run it, and I'm going to say Justin again. Oh, something went wrong. It was not able to do it. But if I had given it an integer value, okay, it's able to do everything perfectly. So this try statement, try attempts to run what is in here. If it encounters any error, instead of it shutting down by default and crashing the whole program, it does not crash the whole program. It attempts to do what is in the next code. Okay, so that's where the exception comes from. Now you can raise many exceptions depending on what kind of exceptions you are likely to raise to encounter, but you can raise many exceptions. We already encountered the value error. Okay, the value error. We have value error, we have name error, we have type error, depending on how you want to do it. Okay, so for instance in here we can say except value error. So now when it encounters a value error, it's going to do this. Okay, and it should still work fine. Assuming I give it Justin again, it should still work fine. Now if I change this to type error or name error, okay, if I change this to name error and I run it, and I give it Justin again, oops, I give it Justin again, it's not going to be able to raise this exception because I've specified this exception to only name error. Name error is when the variable, for instance, this age is actually ages, okay, and we can get a name error. Like when you, instead of putting this age here, you put a different name here, so it gives you a name, it raises a name error. It says that I can't find this name or this value. That's a name error. So you realize that it's not able to raise this name error function because the error it got is not a name error, it's a value error. So if you're not sure what kind of error you're expecting, just leave it open, okay, except then it will catch whatever you are expecting. Alright. Okay, what if you are expecting a name error? Let's try with the name error and let's see how that's going to work out. So with the name error, I want to put ages here, I'm going to write this. I'm going to give the right answer, but I'm going to give it the right answer, but you see it's not able to run because it doesn't know what this ages stands for, so it says name error. Okay, so now onto the finally block. The finally block, just like the exception, is able to run, except that the difference between the except and the finally is this: the except will only run if this is not possible, okay, but if this is possible, then there will be no need to run the except. But this finally would run despite the situation. So finally print dash 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 done. Alright, finally print done. Okay, so now let's run it again, and I'm going to give it a name error. What are we expecting? Okay, name error, and then it's not able to print, but it gives us an exception, and then it still prints done. Okay, I'm just going to remove this name error and we'll try it in the other way, or value error. So let's do it again. I say Justin here. Now okay, Justin, so it's not able to convert Justin into an integer, so it says something went wrong. Okay, then after that it prints done. What if this works? So let's try that one also. What is your age? And then we are going to tell that our age is 15, and it says okay, your age is 15, but then it still prints it finally. So this is the difference. Okay, the finally always runs, the except does not always run. The except runs in some exceptions. That's funny. The except runs in certain conditions, okay, but the finally always runs. Okay, so before we conclude on this video, I want us to do a simple function that deals with try and except. Okay, so let's work on try and except. Now I'm just going to write a simple function here. I'll call it divide or diff. Okay, let's just say diff. Now I'll give it a parameter x. Okay, and now what this function is going to do is going to divide whatever value you give it by 100. Okay, and then it's going to return the answer. Okay, so it's going to return y. It's going to return y for us. I think that makes sense, right? So now let's attempt to call our diff function. So let's say diff 10. Okay, diff 10. It runs. I think we need to print. Okay, so I'm just going to leave a print statement in here so that we can get our values. Print y. If you want your y, you needed to come here and type y, but then it would it's not defined. Let's do it again. I'm just going to clear my console and I'm going to run. I'm going to say diff 10. Okay, diff 10 gives us 10.0.0. Okay, diff 10. How about diff 10 point? Let's say diff 12. Okay, so what it's doing is it is dividing whatever answer you are whatever argument you are giving it by 100. Okay, so it's able to do this. Then it prints out and it returns y. Okay, so now what if we give it a value 0? Now let's try that. It says 0 division error. It's raising a particular type of error. Division by 0 is not possible. It's because it will be undefined to divide a number by 0. Okay, so what do we do in this case? Now if you have this code snippet in your program, okay, you realize that when it crashes, it's going to stop the whole program from working. Assuming you had, let's say, print this number down, and this one crashes, it's not going to print that number down for you because there's an error and you need to take care of that error. But then you need your code to continue working despite the errors it encounters. Do you understand? So what you're going to do is you would apply the try and except rules here. So let's put it this way. So I'm going to say try in the function. I'm going to say try to run this code. Okay, run this code and also run this code. Then run this code. And then so try to run y, divide y, and then if you are able to, that's good, return it. Otherwise, you put an except here. Okay, so we say except, then you print. I like to print stuff, so except print something went wrong. Do we say something went wrong? Yeah, something went wrong. Okay, so now it's just going to do this. Try to print this. Try to do this calculation. Otherwise, it says something went wrong. Let's try it again. For the assignment. Okay, so this one has to come up here. Wow, I didn't think of it that way. Okay, so let's see. So something went wrong. So you realize that even though there was error here, it still was able to print out this one. That's the difference. That's how important the try and except rule is. Okay, so now this something went wrong is too big. Let's try to catch a zero division error. Okay, so I'm going to say except zero division error here, and I'm going to say can't divide by zero. Can't divide by 0. Okay, I'm going to run again. It says can't divide by 0. Okay, so I hope you get the whole idea. So if I were putting it inside a real code, I would like to get the user's attention by putting something that will grab the user's attention. Okay, anything. I could even start the thing on a new line and etc. But you get the idea. Okay, so that's it. Basically, make sure that your message is out there for the user to understand. Alright, so if you also want to add your finally to it, oh, this is not important. If you want to add your finally to it, you can always bring the finally down here. Let's say finally print done. Now this finally is useful when you have something to do, like immediately after the program, whether it runs or not. For instance, you are working on a file, okay, and you want that at the end of the day, whether it runs or not, you should close the file, okay, or should save. So what you do is you use the finally. The finally will make sure that at the end of the day, whatever changes have been made, you save or close or whatever function you want to use. Alright, so that's it. Okay, so in the upcoming videos, I'll be showing you how we will be applying the try and except rule in our projects, okay, and solving simple projects in writing scripts that will make meaning and solve problems. Okay, so stay tuned and remember to subscribe to my channel if you are new to it, and leave your comments below so that I can get in touch with you and understand what concerns you have concerning my videos. And also remember to like my videos if you do, and I will get back to you in the next video. Alright, bye.